I think a lot of jobs are going to be taken by AI and robots. It's already happening. It has been happening and it's going to happen even more. However, I think it will open up a lot of opportunities for other jobs and industries that haven't been existed in the past. And it will come down to people to adaptability.
Work is changing, quickly, irreversibly, and often invisibly. I'm Chris Banshee, and this show is about understanding where it's headed and how we stay human in the process. Hello and welcome to Human Work After AI, the show where we explore the future of work, technology, and what it means to stay human in the age of AI. We're speaking with founders, technologists, and thinkers who are navigating the shift toward an AI-powered economy. Today's guest is Vitaly Motuz, founder of Reviews on My Website and Text Ninja. Vitaly bootstrapped a SaaS platform that now powers review collection and customer feedback for over 3,000 local businesses around the world. With a background in engineering and product growth, he is on a mission to help small businesses build trust and connection in a digital world without drowning in complexity. Vitaly, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here, Chris.
So I always like to start with kind of my guest's origin story. What first got you into working in technology, and where did the idea for Reviews on My Website come from?
Great question. So I always loved back starting high school. I loved building things and creating things. And in high school, we had a computer class where they taught us the basics of building websites. And since then, I was pretty much hooked. Over the years, I learned how to build websites, progressing on to learning web development all on my own, and working with a lot of local businesses, helping them design a simple website. And yeah, I just kept doing it for over the years. I think the turning point for me for reviews on my website, the way it started, is I was helping a friend with a local business bring in more customers, and they had lots of great Google reviews already. And in my mind, if only I could find a way to bring those reviews onto their website, then every single visitor will see them, and that would help them convert so many more customers. I started doing the research, kind of like what are some ways to bring those reviews onto the website, and to my surprise, there was no easy way to do that at the time. There was maybe one or two software that could do that, but they were priced quite substantial for small businesses, and it's just didn't justify the cost. So some other methods that were outlined online that were outdated or not working. So I decided to put together a little widget and see if that's something businesses could benefit from. At the time, I was trying to just help a friend, and yeah, that's where the idea came from. I ended up hiring a developer within pretty much the next day on Upwork, and within the first 3 to 4 weeks, we had the first MVP version online.
So what were you doing at the time as full-time work while you took on this side project?
Yeah. So pretty much I tried many different projects leading up to that one, side gigs, things like that. And I would always get excited about a new idea, spend a couple of weeks building it on weekends and evenings, working full-time job. And when it was time to launch it, market it, talk to people about it, I would lose interest. So I kind of realized that the building part was the part that excited me the most. But when it came to doing the hard work and promoting and marketing it, is something I struggled with. So for this project, I decided to do it differently from day one. I decided to hire a developer to build it, kind of forcing myself to focus on the part that I didn't really know how to do. So I had no choice but dedicate all the time to figuring out how to promote it, how to market it, who do I need to talk to, and it paid off.
So at what point did you decide this was the one, this is the project that you're going to dedicate your time to, that it actually had a chance to be a legitimate business?
I think after years of failed side projects that didn't go anywhere, I knew that my approach had to try something different. And the reason this excited me the most is because it wasn't my idea that I was trying to solve for myself, but rather um, I saw that there was no solution online. And one other thing I noticed when I was doing the research is that there has been a lot of blog posts and forum topics with some methods, but a lot of people commenting saying this does no longer work. Do you have a
Mm.
workaround or a new solution? So the fact that there were so much discussion about it online already and people asking questions how to do that, that gave me more reassurance that I might have been onto something. And I just decided from day one to try a different approach. And I think another important thing is that not only was I now investing my time, but I was also paying somebody to build it. So in a way, I was that much more invested to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the impact that you've seen it have on some of your customers?
Yeah, so it's been a long journey. Back when we started in 2017, 8 years ago, it started as a simple widget that the business would add to their website to showcase their reviews. And then over the years, we transitioned more into a fully fledged reputation management platform where now widgets is only one part of the software, whereas the rest we offer a lot of tools to help local businesses not only manage their reviews, respond to reviews, but also help them get more reviews from their customers.
Mm.
And it's one of the things that I, as a founder, do a lot on my day to day is talking to our customers. And every time I talk to somebody who has been using our software for a couple of years, just hearing their feedback and how it has helped transform their business, it's something that not only makes me excited, but motivates me to keep going. Just seeing the real results and how we're helping local businesses stand out in the local market um, is is very humbling, but also very motivating.
Mhm. Yeah, I can see that, absolutely. So, talk a little bit about what the process was like trying to understand and learn how to grow the business, how to grow your user base when you're coming from a background that's so heavily technical and not oriented on the business side. What were the steps you went through? What were some of the growing pains that you got to experience?
It's been a lot of full lessons along the way, that's for sure. One thing that was kind of proof of concept very quickly is that once the MVP was live, I think within the first week, I ended up getting two paying customers, which was crazy to me
Wow.
at the time. The way I promoted at the beginning was me simply going onto all those forums and blog posts and just commenting, saying like, "Hey, there's this solution. Check it out. There's a free plan." At the time, we used to offer a free plan. And after doing it for long enough, slowly it started picking up a little bit of traction. And I think the other thing that really helped us back in the day with the free plan is because what we offer is a widget that other businesses can add onto their website. On the free plan, we would have a powered by reviews on my website link. And that resulted in almost like a snowball effect. The more
Mm.
businesses were using us, even on the free plan, the more of those widgets and powered by links on their websites we would get, resulting in other people going to their website or competitors, seeing our widget, clicking the link, and ending up on our website. So that's definitely one of the factors that help us, especially in the early days, to build that momentum and help spread the word out. And honestly, it's been just gradual growth since then. First week, it's been two customers. The following week, it's been maybe a couple more. But that's how it all started. It's been a lot of talking to customers. I think that's been a big part, especially at the beginning. And coming from somebody who is not really used to picking up the phone and calling them, it was one of the most important things I have done in the early days was talking to them, whether it's via email or a phone call. And what the reason it was so helpful is because I know it's kind of a little bit beyond the question you asked me, but the first couple of years, I was the only one replying to all the support tickets. And it got to a point where I just couldn't handle it. I needed somebody to help me after that amount of time. But at the beginning, it was one of the most helpful things I could have done just because I get to hear every single feedback, suggestion, request directly from them and gave me a lot of ideas and direction in the early days as to kind of where to take the software.
Yeah, no, that's invaluable, and it's like the saying goes at the beginning of your startup journey, it's always important to do things that don't scale, right? Because you learn so much from being hands-on in those situations.
100%.
So what is currently driving your growth today?
Great question. There's a few different things. I think over the years, one thing that I have struggled the most with is letting go of control. And that ties to pretty much every area of the business. For example, delegating or hiring somebody to help in some aspect of the software. In the last year, especially, I've been intentionally just like realizing that what got us to a certain point is not necessarily what's going to help us grow to the next level. I knew that I cannot do that by myself. So it's just letting go of control and being okay, finding help, other people to join the team and help grow, take over some of the areas that not necessarily the best at. And that's probably been one of the biggest levers is hiring a team. Now we're a small team. We're 5 people. We have a couple more contractors, but everybody is remote. And what it did is it allowed me to focus on the product, on the vision, on the direction of the business. And that's kind of the one thing I always excelled in, having the big picture vision on things and finding people who excel in some of those areas that I just couldn't do myself. Right. Outside of that, there's been, yeah, obviously growing the product. The product has evolved quite a bit since when we started and doing interviews, talking to customers. Yeah, I'd say these are probably the biggest sources for growth.
What has been the hardest part about scaling from solo founder to now having a small team?
The hardest part is probably, like I mentioned, would be letting go of control for me personally. I know for myself, I am somewhat of a perfectionist, and in my old thinking is, why would I delegate to somebody if I can do it myself? Probably a better job. Why spend time training somebody and hoping they're gonna do a good job if I can just tackle it? And it's been a work in progress. This is still something I'm learning to do in different areas of my life and business. But pretty much the realization that I cannot. It will be very difficult to do it all myself. And is this the kind of style I want where I cannot take a day off or have that flexibility? Probably not. So
Yeah.
it was very kind of turning point for me and for the business where I finally was like, let's try this. I think this is the path forward and it really has been paying off since then.
Have you given any consideration to effectively hiring AI employees, using AI agents to take over some of the tasks that you're not wanting to do on a daily basis?
That's an interesting question. I think AI it's been evolving so quickly and especially in the recent year or two. And while we use AI in our software for certain functionality, and I've been using more and more of it in my day-to-day tasks. I don't know if I'm at a point where I would be as comfortable just giving it straight up tasks to work on just yet. I think it's a great tool and there's a lot of things it can do really well, better than probably a human could, right? But I still like to be kind of the things that I do for tasks that don't require much thinking and just like a lot of manual work, I would be open to that. There just hasn't been, I guess, an area or a task I found that I could just here do that for me. But I'm definitely open to that, and I think there's going to be a lot of development in the AI industry in the upcoming years. So who knows? Maybe a few months from now.
Yeah, it really is that trust factor, and it's
Mhm.
interesting that, even though we know there are limitations to what humans can do, and AI can maybe do some of these things better. It's still easier for us to trust a human in that task and trust that they'll make the changes or make the adjustments based on feedback, whereas AI, you feel like maybe won't, right?
Absolutely.
So talking a little bit more about AI, you're now integrating it into your platform to actually help your customers. Talk a little bit about how you're going about that.
Yeah. So one of the tools we provide to local businesses is helping them respond to their online reviews. That's something I know a lot of local businesses don't really like, especially owners don't like doing it themselves. It's a big, it's something Google recommends, and it's something that's, say, fairly important to do as a business, respond to customer reviews, both positive and negative. So we built a tool with AI integrated that helps generate personalized responses to those reviews. The owner can select the tone, how long they want the response to be, and we pretty much offer them a suggestion. They're free to customize it, change it however they like, and then they can simply post it. This way, saving them a lot of time and effort that way. So that's just one example right now. There's a lot of things we're still I want to bring in the upcoming months, such as automating some of that process and offering some more advice. Because the way our software works, we pretty much have access and aggregate all the business's reviews into one place. And one of the recent things we started offering is a sentiment analysis report that helps them generate insights from those reviews. And this is still kind of newer area for us, but there's so much opportunity there to help businesses learn from all the reviews and feedback that's available about their business online, including suggestions, areas they're lacking or their competitors are excelling in, which could be invaluable. Just giving the business an idea what areas they have room for improvement, what some things they can change.
How are local businesses reacting to AI? Are they excited about having AI features be part of the product? Are they still skeptical? Are they just dismissive of it? What is their perspective that you've seen?
I'd say it's a bit of both. Yeah, I think a lot of there's some businesses that still prefer to do things old way, kind of like have spreadsheets and everything kind of manually. However, we're seeing more and more businesses embracing the AI and the automations and just being more open to ways that AI could be integrated to help their business, whether it's saving time, streamlining some of the processes they have and things like that. So definitely seeing more and more businesses being open to that, but not quite at a point where they can just completely delegate everything to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the sentiment towards AI change over the past, say, 6 months to a year from your customer side?
I'd say so. Yeah. For example, if you asked me a year ago, I wasn't even so much open to using it myself, right? And if we were to mention we have AI built in, it would kind of raise a lot of eyebrows. It's like, oh, it's like on the business side, I don't know if I want that kind of software that is handled fully by AI. Versus now, more and more businesses are open to that idea, and I think I think we're at a point where you can either ignore it or you can kind of be open to that. And in my opinion, the businesses, the owners that decide to ignore it over time, they will likely be behind those who choose to embrace it and figure out ways to incorporate it in their day-to-day operations.
So you would say that AI is potentially widening the gap between some of these businesses, those that embrace it versus those that don't. Is that accurate?
100%. And I think it's just gonna keep increasing. There's so much benefit to AI if used wisely and um yeah, I say wisely because again, it's not perfect for everything. Um, but I think the gap is just gonna keep increasing, and those who use it and incorporate it in their business, they just gonna be reaping their rewards going forward.
So where do you draw the line between something that's a helpful automation and something that needs a human touch? Like when you're implementing a new feature for your product, where do you stop and say, okay, I think this is where the business owner or the client is going to want to have a say before things go live or before the AI makes that final decision?
That's a good question. I think it comes from just feedback, talking to our customers and asking and just seeing if that's something they would be open to. I'll give you an example. So, with that responding to reviews, there's been more and more customers, especially bigger businesses with multiple locations, asking us if we offer automatic replies. So, right now, we generate the response for them and they can still have to manually click post it, right? They can change it and then post it. Some of the bigger businesses ask us if there's a way to automate that, so there's no need for them to even sign in, check, and just like automatically respond to all my reviews.
Hmm.
Now, this is something we want to bring in and start offering for those who are asking for it down the road. But at the same time, those businesses who ask for this completely hands-off automation, they still want to have the flexibility to let AI respond to all the positive reviews. If it's
Hmm.
a negative review, let them know, do not respond. They still want to have that ability to read it, potentially try reaching out to the customer and have that control. So it's just one example that they're not at a point where I completely want to let go. I still want to have some input and control. So yeah, I'd say it really depends. And seems like more and more businesses, especially the bigger ones, are something they're looking for in the software.
Yeah, so they're becoming more open to just letting the AI handle it on it entirely. Yeah, interesting. Interesting. What human skills do you think matter the most in the world that's becoming more AI driven? What are you seeing that businesses really want to rely on a human for still? And how do you determine your features and things like that around this new paradigm?
Yeah, I think one of the key skills that is helpful and will be helpful is being adaptable to change. Just because whether it's AI or something else, inevitable. It's gonna happen with whether you want it or not. And those who can adapt to it, be open to it, those are the businesses, people who will benefit the most because things will keep improving, progressing, developing with or without them. So it's just taking advantage of those changes and figuring out how you can use them to benefit yourself or your business. I think there's definitely some areas that might not be quite at a point where people would want fully automated or AI powered. For example, customer service.
Mm.
Personally, I think that's a big thing for me. I know there are some companies offering chatbots, and pretty much most questions can be answered by just talking to a bot. Now, in some cases, you might have place to exist, and I'm sure it's very cost effective for those companies, but that's not kind of an area that I would want to automate, for instance, for us. I still think
Mm.
having that personal touch and support available by a real human person is important. I know that's something a lot of clients we work with, the businesses, looking for. They'd rather have a real person on the other end that they can ask a question, or in case there's a problem, they know they can reach out to somebody. And it's not going to be just automated bot replying to them. So I definitely think any sort of interactions, I think that's still pretty far away from being fully AI handled. I still think it's important to have human touch in those areas, especially for businesses providing or relying on customer support. And I also think decision making as a founder or business owner, I don't know if I would trust AI to make the decisions for me. I would trust it to help me brainstorm ideas or help me put together pros and cons of a decision I'm contemplating. However, I wouldn't trust it to make a decision for me. So I still humans is still um, in charge of that process.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think a lot of times when you're working with an AI and it has a tendency to the term people like to throw out it be a sycophant, right? Like it praises every idea you have, everything you think about, and it'll go all in the second you make a suggestion. It never pushes back or says, "Well, this might not be a good idea because of this and that." And so, yeah, if you worry that if you put it in charge of some of the decisions, it'll just go with the first thing that it thinks of, essentially.
Will make you happy.
And yeah, what it thinks will make you happy. Exactly right. Exactly right. So, do you worry at all about AI replacing human jobs in the near term or the longer term? Or are you more optimistic that, as people like to say, the job there will be new jobs created that we haven't even thought of yet, that kind of thing? Do you think that's the direction we're headed?
I think so, for sure. Yeah. I think there's going to be an already happening. A lot of jobs are going to be taken by AI and robots. It's already happening. It has been happening and it's going to happen even more. So a lot of people will be left without jobs. That's for sure. However, like you said, I think it will open up a lot of opportunities for new kind of opportunities for other jobs and industries that haven't been existed in the past. And it will come down to people to adaptability. And are people going to be willing to improve, learn, and figure out skills that will be useful in the new era of AI? Or are they just gonna stall and accept how things are? And unfortunately, um, they'll be left behind.
So, is there anything that you think in the AI conversation that's not being talked about enough right now that people are overlooking or not really discussing enough and you think is really important?
Hmm. That's a good question. I think this AI is changing very quickly around us. It's very hard to keep up with all the changes and updates, and every other day there's a new model out, there's a new thing available. I haven't been keeping up with it myself. It's a lot.
Mhm.
With that said, something that's not being talked a lot. I think maybe privacy would be one thing.
Mm.
Yeah, personally, when I use AI for my day-to-day stuff, brainstorming ideas. I couldn't tell you. I know privacy is a big thing, especially in some countries, regions, right? And at the end of the day, I would not feed anything super confidential information, right? I think it's great for ideas. Again, it's a huge database. You can ask it pretty much anything. It's gonna probably give you a likely correct answer, but again, something that needs to be verified, especially when it comes to sensitive information. But I'm not at a point where I would share my kind of like openly everything about myself, right? And it's
Mm.
because I don't trust it. But at the end of the day, I don't know where the information is going to end up and how it's going to be used, whether it's going to be trained used to train other models that are going to target me, all sorts of marketing ads afterwards, or
Mm.
who knows what kind of corporation is going to end up with. So I would still approach it with somewhat common sense and probably not use it for some things that would still require a professional like an accountant, a lawyer, or
Mm.
whatever it is.
Yeah. That makes sense, and I think that's one area that was discussed more right at the beginning when I was coming out. I think data privacy was still a higher priority for people then, and I think it's just been drowned out by the speed of advancement and development, and same thing with the intellectual property issue, right? I feel like we never really came to a solid conclusion about what that means. And, this also comes back to a little bit what you were talking about with automatically replying to reviews is where does the liability fall if an auto-generated review does something that, say, in your instance, it makes their brand look bad, or it comes off as rude and ends up harming their brand. Well, was that your fault, or was that does that fall on the company because they said we approve of the AI posting on our behalf? Where does that fall? And we really don't have a good answer.
So that's a perfect example.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So we'll finish with this. Where are you aiming to go with your company? What is your vision and your long-term goal for the company over, say, the next 12 months, 24 months? It's hard to plan any farther than that given the, the technology, right? But where are you looking to go in the next year?
Yeah, I think the goal is to continue building tools to help local businesses thrive in the digital landscape. That's kind of the market that has been very rewarding. Like I said, talking to businesses, seeing how much of an impact our software is having, helping them get new clients and increase conversions. So I think just double um, down on that, continuing to build tools and more improvements to help local businesses succeed. And who knows? There's been I've been thinking the direction of reviews on my website, Text Ninja, keeping them separate, two platforms. One thing I learned is that it's very difficult to run two software companies at the same time. We might be looking at potentially combining it into one or keeping it separate. I'm not quite sure where it's going to take us, but we're also doubling down on agencies and offering a white label solution of the software so that agencies can white label it and resell it to their customers. And yeah, continuing having fun along the way and seeing where that takes us.
Well, that's great. Are you considering selling the company? Is that one of the paths that you're looking at as becoming something that gets absorbed into a larger entity, or is this something that you want to take as far as it'll take you?
There's been a couple companies that approached me in the past asking me if I would be open to that. And so far, my answer has always been no. And the reason for that is because I am passionate and I really enjoy what we're doing. I feel like we're making a difference and there's still so much opportunities and things we could improve and grow and become better at that I'm just not necessarily at a point where I'm ready to hand it off to somebody else. If we are at the point where I was like, we have done everything we could and this is it, maybe, but we're not even close to that point yet. So until then, we're just gonna keep challenging ourselves and improving.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really enjoyed this conversation. So, where can people find you and follow you, Vitaly?
My LinkedIn, feel free to message me there. Otherwise, reviews on my website.com is our website. And I hope this was interesting to some of you and helpful. And thank you so much for the opportunity to chat with you today, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. This was great. And to everyone listening, if you found this interesting, want to subscribe, listen to more, be sure to leave us a review as always. Also, leave us a review, right? And that helps the show grow. And thank you so much for tuning in. And thanks for listening to Human Work After AI. Thank you for listening to this episode of Human Work After AI. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast provider so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you next time.